Cast your mind 2 years back when laptop world was shocked and impressed by the release of Lenovo Legion 5 Pro series. It was an impressive fusion of both performance and design, attracting both gamers and creative professionals, and ultimately being crowned as the best laptop of 2021. Fast forward to last year and Lenovo released an updated version of Legion 5 Pro, complete with an enhanced CPU and GPU. As such, many people may be left wondering whether it's worth investing in this piece of machinery or if it's just a waste of an upgrade. But before that, let's have a look at this spec sheet. It comes with Ryzen 7 6800H CPU with 8 cores and 16 threads, a Nvidia RTX 3060 with 6GB RAM and 140W of max TGP, a 16GB dual-channel DDR5 RAM with a frequency of 4800 MHz, a 16-inch 2560x1600 IPS panel with a refresh rate of 165Hz and a maximum brightness level of 500 nits, and a 1TB of M.2 NVMe Zen 4 SSD. Now for the connectivity, it has Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi 6. The design of newest Legion breaks no new ground. It looks and feels much like the previous model, and there is nothing about it that shouts gaming machine. But that's no bad thing really, since yet again it benefits from a handful of Legion specific characters. As such, most of the laptops port at rear and a lid hinge is at 30mm forward. You can also still get this laptop in either Phantom Blue with 4-zone RGB backlight or Diamond White with blue backlighting. The white one surely looks goddamn aesthetic, but the keyboard RGB is more practical in black variant. The top lid and bottom base are made out of aluminium magnesium alloy. The build quality feels really solid and the laptop's lid has very little flex to it. I like the way the hinges are designed so that you can open it with just one hand. When it comes to size and weight, the Legion 5 Pro is nothing out of the ordinary, measuring 36.3 and 25.9 cm and tipping the scale at 2.35 kilos. It's definitely sitting at the upper edge of the class, especially when it comes to depth, thanks to the back of the laptop which sticks beyond the hinge assembly. Overseeing the keyboard, there is the power button with LED light at its center. So what can we say about the laptop then? Well, it's one of the best units on the market. It has long key travel, clicky feedback, numpad and huge arrow keys. In addition to that, there are 3 options regarding the backlight: white, blue and 4-zone RGB. While we are here, we have to mention the performance mode, which can be toggled by the combination of F1 and Q keys. This means you get quite balanced and performance modes. Then there is the touchpad. It is protected by familiar mylar surface used in 99% of Lenovo's laptop. Its gliding properties are not as good as those of glass covers, but it is still decent. As for tracking, it is pretty accurate. Now for the ports, on the right it has USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port and a headphone jack. Then on the left there are 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type C port which support power delivery as well as DisplayPort output. And finally on the back there is another USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type C port, 2 more USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, an HDMI 2.0B connector, a LAN port and the power plug. So ton of port selection which are more than enough to satisfy you. Moving up to the display, it has a 16-inch 2560x1600p resolution with 16:10 aspect ratio, wide viewing angles, good contrast ratio, and a 500 nits of high maximum brightness. Additionally, the display covers 94% of sRGB colors, and its backlight doesn't use PWM for brightness adjustment. As for gamers, the pixel response time is 7 milliseconds, with Ryzen for duration of 4 and 3 milliseconds, which is really quick and matches perfectly the 165Hz refresh rate of the panel. The Legion 5 Pro's speaker produce a loud and crisp sound with good quality. Its low, mid and high tones are clear of deviations. Additionally, the amplitude frequency characteristics shows an upsurge in the highs. Now conducting the battery test with Windows better performance setting turned on, screen brightness set to 120 nits and all other programs turned off except the one we are testing the laptop with. This laptop's 80Wh battery lasts for 6 hours of web browsing and 5 hours and 27 minutes of video playback. The fan noise level during the stress test is impressively low. Even when operating in performance mode, the noise levels stay within the acceptable parameters. Furthermore, in quiet mode, the noise levels are practically undetectable by ears. In terms of storage, there are 2 slots in form of M.2 PCI X4 connectors. One of them support 1TB of Zen 4 SSD and the another one support 1TB of Zen 3 SSDs. Additionally, you get 2 SODIMM slots for up to 64GB of DDR5 RAM in dual channel mode. Now looking at the cooling system, as you can see, the cooling solution comprises a total of 4 heat pipes. 2 of them are absolutely massive, while the 2 other are slightly thinner. Thankfully, Lenovo has dedicated one of the smaller heat pipes to the graphic memory. All of that is just scratching the surface. The laptop exhibits favorable temperature performance, even as it undergoes a stress test. The GPU remains well within its temperature limits, while the CPU's temperature reading reached a 90+ degrees Celsius. It should be noted, however, that during heavy game tasks, the temperature is expected to decrease by 5 to 6 degrees Celsius, as compared to the readings observed during the stress test. Now let's shift our gears to CPU performance. And picture this, the 6800H is like a marathon runner who performs at their peak under a steady 45W power limit, running at 45W setting and where it lands in multi-core test. oh, it does not appear to be that good. It falls short of Core i7-700H by a margin of 9%. However, in terms of generational progress, of achieving a modest boost of approximately of 9%, unless of course memory bandwidth comes into play. In experiment with single core tasks, I am surprised to find that 6800H does not show significant performance improvement despite having slightly higher clock speeds, while the Zen 3 Plus architecture is not vastly different from Zen 3. When it comes to Autodesk 3ds Max, the laptop is delivering impressive performance numbers, although not quite as exceptional as we have seen from Intel. Nevertheless, the results are still quite impressive and indicative of strong performance abilities. So next up is the SolidWorks, and the result seems identical to that of 3ds Max in terms of performance. You can see that we have a score of 96. The thing with this program, the SolidWorks, is that it favors the Nvidia Quadro and RX Radeon GPUs. So if you really want huge performance figures, then you should stay away from Nvidia gaming GPUs. When it comes to Blender Classroom test, the laptop's RTX 3060 delivers a mid-range score of about 690. Since Blender is a graphic-heavy program, it's able to take advantage of 6GB VRAM. However, those seeking even better performance should consider graphic card with 8GB or more of VRAM. When it comes to tasks that requires both CPU and GPU powers, such as Premiere Pro, Intel has a leg up, thanks to the way Premiere makes use of Intel's media engine, which is unmatched by AMD's equivalent. Despite this, the 6800H configuration holds its own when it comes to general export performance, and actually surpasses many older models by a healthy margin. Intel rules supreme in Adobe Photoshop, thanks to its speedy peak cores, and the fact that Photoshop doesn't require a lot of cores. Even with both processors utilizing 16GB of DDR5 memory, the 12700H outpaces the 6800H, while the Ryzen 6000 narrows the gap. Though seeking the ultimate Photoshop experience should still turn to the powerful Alder Lake processor, the 6800H shows significant performance improvement as compared to the previous generation laptops, but it still falls short of much faster Intel configurations that we have tested, which should come as no surprise. Now, as we begin the gaming benchmarks, it should be noted that all games were tested at 1080p ultra resolution, which has been deemed the optimal configuration for this particular graphic card. With regards to performance, the RTX 3060 is observed to deliver performance that is comparable to its predecessor. In conclusion, this graphics card demonstrates consistent and reliable performance, making it a compelling option for any type of workloads, not just gaming. So let's talk about my final thoughts, what I personally think about this laptop. If you are a performance purist, then it's all about that hardware, my friend, but it's always good to share your personal honest opinion. And you are right, the Legion 5 Pro is way overpriced right now. And if you are willing to wait a bit, the 7000 series Legion 5 Pro will likely be launched soon, which could bring down the price of the current Legion 5 Pro. In the meantime, if you are on a budget, it might be best to go with the previous version of Legion 5 Pro. Now, if you want to buy this laptop or any other variant of this, then you can find the best buying links in the description box down below, and you can check them out. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel and liked my content, then do subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.